This week I thought I would do something different. I thought I would vlog in my blog and talk about pearl trees as a student might. I was imagining my students reflecting on their assignments, and I was imagining a way they could demonstrate learning or reflection to me would be using something like a screencast with their assignment, and I thought that I'd give that a try today. So this week we're talking about pearl trees. So I delved into the world of pearl trees, created an account, and connected myself to the projects in the DiffMOOC. As I began making the folders and collecting resources, I was frustrated at first with pearl trees. Here's my nets project, and I wound up having to redo all the pearls on these a few different times as I got stuck with being limited as far as how many pearls I could create. So that was a little frustrating, and organizing the sources. But I think overall it worked out pretty well after I learned to use the tool. A lot of times that's how it goes. So I created my nets project, Pearl, and came up first with my overview of my project. At this point, my project is a group of me, myself, and I, which is fine. I'm going to create a presentation about the nets and technology standards for students in my school, and the intended audience are my peer teachers at my school. Our school has a really weak vision as far as technology goes, so a lot of the teachers opt out of including technology in their courses. So I'm going to try to convince them that they should, on their own, go ahead and integrate more technology, and why. So I'm coaching teachers as far as the standard goes. I created a presentation and looked at what type of presentation options might be best for my staff. Created sources using pearl trees, and then looked at different modes, like I said. At the end, I am going to do a survey to my staff, and I want to know who might have been convinced to incorporate more technology into their classroom for the next year's students. So that was my overview and focus. I started collecting from ISTE. Let's see if this loads. And this is where I got stuck on the number of sources. So you can only, with pearl trees, add a certain number of sources, but they do allow you to put in, here's a PDF file of the Horizon report, which is really helpful for me. Different standards worded differently, including, here's a YouTube video. I don't think it loaded right, or excuse me, this is a presentation on the standards. So these were all my ISTE sources. Other sources that I wanted to use in the project were organized on this node. I found a really cool source through Edutopia, a blog someone did breaking down skills per grade level, what they should be doing each year from kindergarten to 12th grade, or actually to 6th grade. I thought that was pretty neat. This is another really interesting, this is a YouTube video that was really helpful as far as relating Common Core and the standards that are listed in nets. And lastly, this thing was really interesting. This Atomic Learning is a company that puts together training, assessment, all kinds of different tools, and our North Slope School District subscribes to this. So I think it's a pay site, but it's something that my district already uses. And so when I do a presentation to staff, it's something that they could jump into that we pay for. I thought there were some good tools in there looking at Common Core and tech skills and how they kind of cross. I think that'll be really helpful. Then I looked at how I could present, and I went out to my learning network during our Twitter meetings and asked some opinions in that area. And then I also went to some of my peers at my school and made some suggestions of choices of presentations and asked what they thought would be most helpful. Okay, this is not going to open. So in here, I don't know why it's not opening. In here, I have different options for presentations such as Prezi, VoiceThread, SlideShare, and things like that. But the one I decided to use was Notebook, which is the software that goes with our smartboards. And a lot of our staff don't use the smartboards that are in their classrooms to the extent that they could. So I thought it'd be interesting to put a presentation out using the tool that is available to teachers and all staff. And what I did is I took all my curated sources from Pearltree, and then I went into the notebook software and created, right now what I have is just the first draft without any bells and whistles that I'll include later. But for right now, I have the objective set up for them and went through material that will be on slides, but the slides are going to use different modes of revealing and showing different information, so they aren't going to look as wordy as they look right now. I was able to get some good graphics from ISTE, include them in this presentation. And like I said, on this I'm going to have information, and it looks a little wordy right now, but I'm not quite done doing hiding and reveals and different things with erasers and magic pens and things like that, because I want the staff to be able to see the tools in action and be able to use me as a resource to help them develop things in their classroom as well. My slide that I come back to 3 different times in 3 different ways is essentially this, and this is my favorite thing from ISTE, that being able to just use technology is no longer enough for our students, and that today's students need to be able to use technology to analyze, learn, and explore. And the third point, that digital age skills are vital for preparing students to work, live, and contribute to the social and civic fabric of their communities. And one source after another circles back to these points. So throughout the presentation I used it 3 different times, and I was pretty pleased with that, because I think if anything our teaching staff should be able to look at these 3 components and ask themselves, you know, is what I'm teaching my students using technology driving them to this end? You know, are they going to be able to be more than just users of technology? Can they analyze? Can they learn? Can they explore? Can they eventually contribute to social and civic fabrics of their communities and beyond? So I really like that. So I'm pretty pleased with how this presentation's going. I liked being able to use Pearltrees. The one detriment I found is that the annotations are not very easy to use. You have to use a comment section on the Pearltrees, and let's see, right here was the comment. So if I had sources, it wasn't as easy to use as something like Digo, because here I made a comment on my own Pearl, and I guess somebody could follow and we could have a conversation on the Pearl, but then maybe my original annotation would get lost. As far as citing things like that, I don't know. I like using Digo, and I guess for a group, just trying to think of how you would use this for differentiation. And I guess you could have students collaborate by, you know, curating sources together and putting them on different pearls and different nodes, but I'm honestly not convinced. I don't know that this would be a good tool. I think there are better tools out there for collaboration and for differentiation for projects. Anyway, it was interesting to explore this new tool, and I was glad I used it, but I don't I don't know that I would use this for differentiation. I might use this for other collaborative pooling of sources, but I think I'd stick with a different tool. All right. Have a good week.